Awesome. All right. So welcome everybody. I'm Jessica and Jorge. I'm one of the co-committee chairs of the Resident Special Interest Committee. I'm here with Josh today. Um, Jacqueline unfortunately has her shift, so she won't be here. But I'm here to talk about how to create your letter of interest and your rank order list, which was a highly requested topic that they wanted us to talk about. So for any further ado, let's get into it. So everybody wants to get to this, right? Match day. Everybody wants to get to this point in the day where it's this bunch of OCD people at the mercy of an algorithm. Sadly, that is the reality. But we don't want to make it too, but we want to enjoy the journey. And I know some of us want to increase their chances. So the letter of interest and a rank order lists were kind of one of the things that people were wondering, how do you make a good one? How do you like a lot of the in IMGs especially asked us, how do you make a good one? Like what makes it stand out, and like what are the things that you should consider, especially in a rank order list? So, we're EBP here, we're evidence-based, so we have objectives. So we'll discuss the importance of quality, letters of interest, determine and describe why this one's a good letter of interest, and then what to consider for a rank order list. So, letter of interest, what is it? Basically, it's just a letter that conveys their specific interest in the program, and you usually send it before you get an interview invite. So, usually around this time, um, I would say around starting October, after all the initial invites have been sent, or even until January, until programs are still interviewing. They're not done yet with their set of um, list of interviewees. You can still send them a letter of interest in the hope of getting an interview. And why does this matter? It's because one, when they go through their list of interviews at the start, right? um, they have already kind of had a preset filter on like who gets to come in based on their preset conditions. And sometimes you get left out of that. Maybe you missed sending a few letters of recommendation they wanted or a requirement they wanted. You weren't ECFMG certified. You have new scores of step three that you wanted. It helps to add those, give that program a heads up that, hey, I'm kind of possibly fitting your requirements now. Or, hey, maybe you should take another look at my application um, to see that maybe, for these particular programs that you're sending a letter to, that you're a good fit for them. And to give you another consideration, a second look. And particularly, I've been asked, like, who do you really send them to? Really, it's the program director who decides that you get an interview, and then you're the coordinator who schedules the interview. But if on their website they say automatically that they only send to one email at all, just send it to that email. Um, Following instructions and not annoying these programs are kind of one of your important key points, key considerations to always think about. You don't want to annoy these programs with um, excessive communication and at the same time to lose interest in actually giving you a chance. So, what are the components that after sending about 110 letters of interest during my cycle that I could say were things that got me an interview, or at least got me a reply? So, these were the components of every letter of interest that I sent. But in general, these have been the contents for all examples that I got from all seniors and from a lot of like resources that I've had going through my own resident journey to residency year of applications. So the first one was, who are you? I was very clear about my credentials. They usually like The more you can make it easy for them to look you up, that was the goal. So I put in already my credentials aside from my name, my year of graduation, and what my school was. And of course, to be clear about my intent, like why am I even writing to you guys? Like it could be about grades, right? Or whatever else. It could be an alumni. You need to be clear with your intent of these letters and why the program. What makes this program the program you want to send a letter to at all. You have to mention in there the specific key points, why you like them. And then what makes you connect to them is this last point. It's what makes you fit, which is what is it in your CV that they're gonna read before interviewing you that makes them think, oh, this is possibly a good fit. Let me take a look at their application again. So um, based on this, were my guidelines and were the guidelines my seniors usually gave me. And they usually came out as these kinds of letter of interest. So I'll give you a couple examples that I did, and then I'll point out specific ways that I made them quick to read, but also at the same time, um, I would say have enough meat in them that they would be interested to at least look at my CV. Well, and then I just had some caveats to put in there. Please don't put everything that's on your CV. Sometimes you have to keep it short and sweet. 1 to 2 points about yourself is enough. Um, and if you're gonna mention names, make sure that these people can vouch for you, or else it's not gonna go well. Um, and don't ever mention that you're really, really asking for an interview. These letters of interest aren't about asking them directly for an interview. It's about showing them that you're really interested in their program and you would really love to meet them face to face so that you can hopefully get an interview. But I also got back down, like 110 programs was really hard. So there are so many of them, and you can't just make a really personal email for every single one of them. So here are my tips that I didn't allow myself to get bogged down or get stressed about this. So one, I templated everything. So when I say I templated everything, for every program that I applied to, I kind of applied to about what? About 130 programs, and almost all of them I sent a letter of interest. Um, I kind of been able to decipher which type of program I could categorize them in. If they were community based, if they were university affiliated, if they were within a location that my family was or my significant other was, or whichever kind of detail in my CV that would um, allow me to um, make my letter of interest tailored to them. I put them in that category and I made a letter template of every key point related to that point in my CV. I will show you later in my example, like what I mean about I templated everything. I also included there for their quick reference, like I said, it's supposed to make them think of it really fast, like, oh, we should definitely choose this person to give them a second chance. Let's try to interview them. How can I make it easier for them to choose me? So you should put in your all the details that they need to look for you. So your AMC ID, or if you're in residency CAS or whichever um, application program that they put it in there. Anything that can reference to your profile, you should be able to put in it, including your photo. And then your program spreadsheet matters. So remember when you were researching all these programs, even though all they all said was 3 letters of interest, dean's letter, whatever. These are the contact people. You should really keep tabs of who you need to communicate to, what kind of program this is, where is it, That spreadsheet that you did to pick all the programs you applied to, they really matter. This will save you a lot of time and grief. If you added the names of the people that you were going to send emails to anyway. So that totally helps you save time. So without further ado, here's some of my examples. So let me just see if I can. Can everybody see my pointer at least?
Yep, we can see it, Jess.
Cool.
A little
All right.
small and it's black, but yes, we can see it.
All right, cool. So I don't know if I can. Let me try to at least like if as long as it's seen, then I guess it will be fine. So like I said, you have to address it to the program director. You're not addressing it to the coordinator, even if they said send it to this email for the program, like their GME program email. Always address it to the program director. It cannot be anybody else because they're the ones that make the decisions on who gets interviewed. As I mentioned before, I mentioned my graduation year because that's important to some places, right? The year of graduation is super important, and where you graduated. Usually that's pretty clean cut for them. It helps them choose if they will give you an interview or not based on their little filter. So if from there they cut you off, at least it's clear. Bye, done. But if they're giving you a chance just because of where you graduated or they're okay with your year of graduation, they'll move further within your email. That's kind of how I made these emails. I kind of put myself in the position of the program director who's reading it and how they would go through the email so that I have a higher chance of being chosen. So for this program, it was an academic training program that I put in. And I mentioned, of course, in this program that I'm going into internal medicine. And I mentioned here that they have what I liked about this program is they had electives, a lot of electives. So I mentioned it and why that would be beneficial for me in my training. And I would say these core beliefs, these were demonstrations in my CV because they were demonstrated in my CV as a whole because my uh, most of my CV history were about community engagement programs. I have a background in public health, so I kind of tailored that last sentence to make sure that they would feel like um, when they look at my CV, like, oh, probably this definitely a person will fit in our program based on all the things they mentioned in their CV. They definitely do have an holistic approach. They definitely do have a more community oriented or they have a research based type thing. And then I mentioned a little bit of update, like let's say you added letters of recommendation, like I said, or you attained certification, you have step 3 scores that you wanted to mention it in there. Usually it helps it because sometimes it might add to a point that, hey, they definitely fit our criteria. Now let's take a look at that application again. And again, as I mentioned everything they needed to find me. So my ECF, I'm an IMG, so I have an ECFMG ID and my AMC ID from ERAS. That's kind of pretty much it. And this was templated, like I would say these were one of my initial templates. And of course, like if you send for a different reason, your templates will evolve as well. So this is another one. This is another example that I have. So as mentioned, I mentioned my name, the year. And this one particularly was a program that was community oriented and it was based in California. So I had mentioned there my community service and the community programs that I did. I also mentioned my family ties. So I tried to make it easier for them to see why I fit in the program. But I also mentioned why I liked their program. And remember that you're mentioning in these letters first and foremost why you're writing, because you like them. And then now you're telling them backwards, and this is why I fit. You're basically selling them that you should take another look. You should take another look because I like you guys. And this is why, because I'm gonna fit well. And these are the reasons. And then here I attained ECFMG certification. So that's what I mentioned in this letter of interest, particularly. Oh,
I snuck
so
a
this is
slide on
another one.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. So this one's from Josh. See, so
So, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, no, go ahead, man.
Oh, I agree just to prove that we have an N of two here. The easiest way you can have your information out there as much as possible, and there's different ways to template it. I always try to I was very big about sandwiching, but it led to me probably writing a little bit more than I needed to. But it's to prove that I name you at the top, name you in the middle, and I try to make the marriage look as quite as nicely as possible. Like there's things that you like, there's things that I like, and I try to include one update, including some of my work with CFAM. And so I think finding ways to kind of make it, hey, this is an easy match, and I'm interested, and you're more than just a name on the list is a way to kind of get your foot in the door with a program director.
Yeah, totally agree. It's really just about telling them a little bit about yourself that would easily click you to the gear. It's like speed. This is a way to like that short hinge profile intro you have. This is it. This is the letter of interest. So finally, moving forward, it's finally we're gonna talk about the final boss. And I say the final boss because ev this is the last part of your match application that you're going to do a lot of stuff for. And after this, it's the algorithm doing all the work. So Godspeed at that point. You just gotta let go and let God. This is your final boss. After all the whole making your application, preparing your interview, interviewing, letters of interest, finally, last thing you'll ever do for this year of application is your rank order list. And these are just some of the important dates for this coming year. Of course, every year it changes, and you can always go to the NRMP site to make sure that um, you have the accurate dates. And just a key point here, especially those who are IMGs like me, um, the deadline for your verification to be certified, that you have to be assured certified and verified that you are certified is on the last day, like the deadline of the rank order list at that specific time as well. Because uh, they close it at that exact time and you cannot do any changes and you will not be able to participate in a match if you don't submit a certified rank order list. So other points to note, um, it's really first 20 programs that they um, in your primary list. First 20 programs are free, counts with the fee that you already paid them. And then there's an additional fee that's non-refundable, even if you change your list. So it's non-refundable. Let's say you have 20, 25 on your list, you have a fee for that extra five. But if you, let's say, cut out that five and you end up with 18 on your list, you can get that money back. So you have to really decide if you're putting in that many in your list or not. And it's basically the second point I'm just saying, it's basically recertify every time. Just click save. It's basically always click save when you make any changes, just like any charting, any game you play, click save. And again, for IMGs, you really have to be certified by that time because you will only be allowed to participate in a match and um, finalize your rank order list if you're certified. So if you're not, you haven't certified through a pathway, you're not done with steps 1 and 2, then you won't be able to participate in the match, sadly. Um, for advanced specialties like your RADOC, derm, your diagnostic and interventional radiology, your anesthesia people out there, you actually have to create these supplemental rank order lists if you have an advanced program within your primary list. Basically says for this one program, you have to link a PGY1 program list. It's a little list of 3 or 4 programs that you attach to the advanced program. In total, these supplemental lists have to be at 20 to be included in the fee, and then beyond 20, they become another extra fee in there. But again, that's only for people who put in an advanced program within their primary rank order list. And again, just to refresh to everybody, the rank order list is the rank order list of the programs that you applied to when you interview, and then you'll rank them accordingly. And I won't go into a lot of the nitty-gritty details. The guide in the NRMP website pretty much discusses how to put in these rank order lists, including the supplementary rank order list for advanced programs. What I want to go into here actually is why rank them 1 versus ranking them 5? Like, what makes a good rank order list for you? Like, what are the preferences that you have to really monitor? Because that's kind of where people get confused. Like, that's where people ask questions. So what is a good rank order list for you? Like, what are the preferences, or what are the factors that you really want to look into? So there's actually data on this, a lot of data. The NRMP every year releases their charting outcomes, where they release data on the demographics and even the match outcomes of people who answer the surveys that get ranked to their first preferred specialty, meaning in the specialty that they preferred, they ranked in it, they matched in it, and they made them answer a survey. So based on the NRMP, they say rank based on preference and where you'd be happy to train, because it's a binding commitment to them. Really rank on preference, because you're gonna, if you end up there because that's your rank 1, you rank that first, you can't go back on that. So rank where you will want to get in. And again, they always mention the algorithm works in your favor, and do not rank if you did not interview there, because there's no sense. If the program didn't interview you, they will not rank you. So if you're not getting ranked at their part, there's no match, because they didn't even want to meet you at all. And then adding a few safety programs in between. So here's the data that I was able to get. They were able to survey about 14,800 residents who matched in their preferred specialty, and they were able to ask this through a Likert scale, like which factors were your basis for ranking programs, and how in this scale on the right, their rating of the Likert scale shows how important it is. So if you look at the first 5, you'll see it's mainly really random preference, from education, from supervision and resident responsibility, how much workload is, to the education quality, to scheduling, to vacation time, preparing you for fellowship, to electives. It's very random. Like, it could be almost anything about the program. Um, could also be anything you prefer, like how much time off can you get? Are you ready for fellowship? Is that something you want? Is that an option you want? It's pretty random. There's a lot of heaviness in terms of education, yes, but it still mentions here, based on how little the margins are between schedules, vacations, and other training opportunities, that they're really, really small margins, meaning these are just as important as to somebody who's looking for workload burden, like how much workload are you gonna do? There are other things, of course, like you'll see here, like J1 visa, H1B sponsorship. Of course, you'll see that they're different, how big their importance is here on the right side for their rating, and that's just because these are probably the people who actually voted on these are probably your usual FMGs or IMGs. And then they even ask the strategies. Like, see, there's so much data on even your rank order list preferences. So they ranked where I interviewed the most. And of course, like they mentioned, they wouldn't rank anyone that applied but did not interview because the program is going to rank you. The program is going to rank you, I'm sorry. And then they ranked based on the order of my preferences, 95%. So everybody, almost everybody, ranks according to their preference and where they're willing to go. So what is a rank? Like, so what is it really? So it is based on preference, based on the data and personally, and of course, where Josh is laughing at me right now, because definitely it's based on preference. So focus on what you want. Like, where do you want to be? Where do you see yourself being happy? Is it being close to home? Is it being far from home? Is it um a good program size, or do you see yourself working with these types of seniors or your bosses? Remember, they're gonna be a very big chunk, like they're very important people. You will be seeing them for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years of your life. They will mold you, and at the same time, they can break you. So those are kind of the one of the important things you have to look into. Will you be happy in this program based on the most important things to you? Um, Also, at the end of the day, I kind of want to emphasize the algorithm works in your favor. Your preference are put first by the algorithm, as mentioned by the NRMP. And no matter what people say, like you can game the system by lowering your preference so that there's a chance you can get in. It doesn't work that way. Your preference is always first, before it matches to look for a program that matched you as well, that ranked you as well. And lastly but not least, your outcome based on where you end up in any program is not going to be determined by just where you got in alone. You remember that environment matters, being well matters, having a support system matters. So if you go get into a great program, your number one program, and you're not happy, you can't take care of yourself, or you don't feel welcome, those are things that will not help you succeed. So at the end of the day, rank to where you want to go. Rank among among all these programs, where do you see yourself fitting in the most? So that's why I put in this meme. You see, at the end of the day, the biggest brain here is where really what you want to go. Like some people I've heard, they will match according to where Costco is closest, or they will match based on like how many times the snow falls in a year, you know? So it's really again in your favor to rank highest where you really want to end up in. So any questions you guys have? Any questions, comments?
I have a question.
Sure.
Great presentation, by the way. Even though I already matched, I advise a lot of students. So I guess my question is, do you have any strategies for students that maybe have less than perfect things on their application? So maybe they had to retake a rotation, or
Mhm.
they, God forbid, failed a step score. Like, how do you recommend, I guess, going about that on the application or in interviews?
Mhm. I've always been a proponent of like the star method. So usually those situations, they call it as red flags, right? They usually will see it anyway. Like a program director will mention it, or an interviewer will mention it because they see it on the record. They'll ask you mainly, how did you learn from it? So it is, sad. It's a negative flag. It's bad that they fail. It's bad that they, repeated a rotation. But what program directors or interviewers are looking for is, how did you learn from that? Like, how did that make you a better candidate? Because at the end of the day, we're not perfect. And of course, life happens. What the program directors and interviewers are looking for is, how do you rise from adversity? Because resilience actually is what they're looking for. Somebody who has grit, somebody who can fail, be knocked down, and step back again is actually what they're looking for. In terms of practicality, how to approach it, I would approach it in a STAR method way within that interview, such as I would mention a situation. I failed step three, step, for example, I failed step three, or I failed step one, or repeated a rotation. Um, and you mentioned some sort of reflection. I did this preparation. I kind of felt I wasn't secure. What I felt like I wasn't ready, but I took it anyway. And then I still failed. And then what did you do after that? Usually, I reassessed myself upon reflection. I took some time off. And then I realized, this was what was lacking in my preparation, and I finally passed. And then they'll usually ask for a synopsis of what you learned about yourself. I realized that I liked learning this way, or more so, you can mention a trait that you realized about yourself. That I realized that I actually have um, more resilience or grit than I thought. I have more discipline than I thought. It's usually turning a negative into a reflective experience that they will respond to that pretty positively. But of course, like, feel free to correct me, or like let me know, Josh, if there's like any other insight you have.
I mean, like I think anytime that people bring up any adversity, it's a great way to sell how you made it this far and like the things that you've grown into being, which I like, yeah, everyone stumbles along the way and it comes in different flavors. And so I think, you know, dodging it during the interview, I think is more harmful than is good because people are pretty comprehensive on your reviews. And if you don't get someone in the room that's going to defend you about whatever blemish you feel like you have, it it's worth just saying at the interview, just like this is like if it comes up, just quickly addressing it and making sure you have a chance to kind of make sure someone at least is at the table who understands what you went through and how you're able to kind of still do what you do and do a pretty dang good job at it.
Good insight there, Josh. Thank you. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you for your great presentation. Sorry, Thea wants to say hi.
Hi, Theo.
Um, so I obviously am in residency currently, but I do also advise a lot of students, and I actually applied during the times when we would go in person for interviews. So I think the equivalent of like the letter of interest was our like in the area interview letters, when like we would be in the physical area for like another program, and we would send a letter of interest saying, I'm in the area, I'm genuinely interested in your program. Do applicants nowadays, in the time of Zoom and virtual interviews, do they send letters of interest to all of their programs, or do you advise to pick certain programs, like your top ones?
In this landscape, especially, I've heard that there is sort of like signaling, like they give away signals now, so
Mhm.
it limits the number of programs that will believe your letter of interest. Because if you didn't
Mhm.
give them a signal, then that means they're not special enough for you. Nonetheless, I think it's still worth it's still worth a shot giving them a communication, because at the end of the day, it's on them to see if they're willing to give you a chance. So why
Yeah.
not give yourself the best chance that you have? So I would still send my letters of interest, especially if you have any new updates um to your application. I think it's always worth a shot. It's just like asking for somebody's number when you date somebody, right? Like, hey,
Yeah.
here's
It's
my
like,
number.
what do you have to
Up to
lose?
you. Yeah, what do you have to lose, basically? You know,
We still
they don't even,
do the indie
yeah.
area stuff. I still have people from my home med school come and do visits on site. So it's still a thing. It's less common. And even if you interview virtually, they will ask if you're coming to their city at some point. So they that's like they're trying to tease out, are you really interested in me kind of thing, you know? So it's still a thing. It's just like not as common as it probably was a few years before COVID.
I think Lauren had her hand raised. Hey, Lauren.
Hello, sorry. I kind of missed the first half of the meeting because I was in another meeting, but I'm sorry if this was discussed already, but I wanted to ask I know a lot of people say to like rank with your heart and what's best for you. And of course, like for the one and two spot, like I think that makes the most sense for me, but I was wondering for like the three, four, five, six spots, like is it better to be
Hmm.
do people still like rank strategically, like, yeah, I just wanted to see if anyone had any input or you had any input on that. Thank you.
Thank you. No problem. Um, in terms of the middle list, that's what I have. Only have like a little bit of experience with it. When I rank the middle, usually they like the NRMP says there's a little bit of good leeway to put in your safety programs in there, but you can always gauge who goes higher and who goes lower, I believe, based on what your perception of the interview was. At the end of the day, you can definitely write on a paper one of the things or one of the reasons why you didn't like this program versus the other. So it's still possible to rank with your heart, I would say, in the middle, but keep your safety, well, not safety, but your higher likelihood programs in there as well. But don't forget that at the end of the day, your those three, four, five, six, sevens, they will count. If you don't get into those first three or first two, they will still count towards your preference. So remember to still rank according to what you like among them. Just with a little bit more caution about um, you know, with the chances of you getting in. But still, it's still better to do what you prefer. Okay, I think did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you
Or
so much.
you're welcome. And then Ray, I think we have a few more minutes for questions. I think Raya may ask a question. Raise their hands. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Hi. Okay, sorry. Thank you so much for having this session. I found it really helpful, especially with the letter of interest. I'm currently in the process of applying right now. I don't know if anyone has applied through Residency Cast. It's a little bit different than AMCAS. Or sorry, I'm you see all these terms like
ERS, yeah. Yeah.
CRAS, there we go. In my head.
Mm-hmm.
So for OBGYN, they gave us a total of 18 signals. Um, and they're like tiered gold and silver. Um, I don't know if so I know you said you sent like 100 plus letter of interest. Um, would you still recommend sending like letters of interest even if like you didn't signal programs? Um, because I don't know, I've heard mixed reviews about not sending too many letters of interest if you didn't signal them or whatnot, because they're not even going to consider you. And then program directors talk. Um, I don't know how true that is. I was wondering if you had any extra advice or things you could say upon that.
So I think I'm in this landscape, like signaling kind of helps the programs more to to their point that, oh, this is a, this is not not a applicant that actually wants to be interviewed or actually wants to be in this program. But I think there's still merit to it, because when you think about it, even if um even if you don't have a signal for them, that doesn't mean you're not interested in them. It's just that you have very limited signals. So I personally believe that it's still not bad to send them a letter of interest. The PD talk thing is a little bit vague. First of all, I don't think very large landscape of any specialty, all PDs can talk amongst each other. You know that they have too many things to do and too many problems to deal with to just like talk to each other regularly and find out, oh, is the applicant applied to you? Does that mean that they should apply? Like, does that mean they're lying to me? Like, they honestly, they don't take it that personally. They have a lot more things to deal with. So I believe to take that with a grain of salt. It's still better to shoot your shot, in my opinion, because at the end of the day, this is your application process, and you don't want to go into it feeling like you didn't do your best. So if you feel like the letters of interest go to your benefit, like you want to send them one because you really like them, do it. There's nothing for you to lose. They're not gonna flag you bad for just sending one email. They're gonna flag you bad for sending 10 emails about pestering them like, hey, can I get an interview? Can I get an interview? No. You're just mentioning that you like them that much, that you want to be given a shot to get to know them.
I like the way you said that. Thank you so much.
I
You're
also
welcome.
think depending on what time of the year and the cycle that you're gonna send a letter of intent in, because at this time of year people start canceling the January interviews. So I think it's like, even if you didn't signal them, I think letter of intent this time of year, a letter of interest this time of year is a very reasonable thing, even if you didn't signal them.
Okay.
I
That's
will
really good to know. Thank you so much.
I will quickly say that for smaller programs, like for child neurology, where there are very, very few like programs just in the country in general, or for like triple boarding programs, the PDs actually are very close because they're all trained within the same system. Or for like peer institutions like UCSF and Stanford, right across the bay from each other. So when you're sending your letters of intent, send them genuinely and don't be kind of like don't emphasize or do like little dishonest or ulterior motive things, like say you are my first choice or like things like that to like multiple programs. And just be honest and be genuine, because some of the programs with smaller programs or lower number of programs, they do talk because they are just like friends and colleagues.
Oh, thank you so much for that.
We also have Sage.
Yeah, I see Sage here. Yeah. Hey, Sage.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for that discussion on letter of interest and rank order list. I wanted to ask if you have any input on the differences between matching and pre-matching with other programs that um, don't join the NRMP matching versus those that have a pre-matching, especially regarding like benefits or drawbacks for each, and let's say whether choosing a pre-matched program will affect future fellowship opportunities.
Okay, thanks, Sage. So I guess the question here first is what is a pre-match versus being in the match? So a pre-match is basically before the match, somebody tells you, "Hey, we like you. Here's a contract. We want to sign you already." Because right, the match is an algorithm deciding, "Hey, go to this program, sign with them." The pre-match is basically just somebody bypassing that algorithm and choosing for themselves which candidates they want to come in right away. They want to commit to them. So what are the caveats of that? The pros of that is one, yay, you got a position. Congratulations. You don't have to think about it until March. You got it now. You can relax, chill out, withdraw yourself from the match, from the NRP match. Um, Cons to that is yes, you do have to withdraw from the match. So that means that other opportunities, other residency programs that you like or you feel like, excuse me, you have a chance to get into, they're they're you can't participate or be an option for them anymore because you do have to withdraw from the match once you sign a contract with the pre-match. That being said, does that mean that these programs don't necessarily follow the rules or are not ACGME um, ACGME certified or regulated? Not necessarily. Some of these programs are ACGME regulated, meaning they have regulated work hours as well. They have to report to ACGME. They have all the evaluations that they have to go through. However, based on what people say, they do um, work their residents a little bit harder based on what I'm hearing. I didn't pre-match, so I'm not really sure. But what benefit for the program management, that is like the program directors and that, is that they can assure that their slots are not going to be empty because they already chose the candidates right away. Is it bad or is it good? It really depends on how you look at it. If you feel like your match chances are slim, you have little number of interviews that you got through, and you feel like you're not gonna get any more, I would say you can definitely go with the pre-match. Pre-match sounds like it's a good choice for you. But if you feel like you have higher odds or that you have a lot of programs that you like or a lot of programs that you're interviewing for, it might not be the best choice for you. There's fellowship outcomes because the match doesn't decide if you are qualified for fellowship or not. Um, the match just determines where you're going to end up for residency, but it doesn't determine anything about fellowship. Your fellowship outcomes are another different conversation. That's another kind of that's another kind of um, application and another preparation that you have to deal with in residency. But I don't believe there's any correlation between you getting a pre-match offer and you having lower chances of getting into fellowship.
All right, thank you so much, Jessica.
No problem. Any other questions, guys? I love the discussion. I'm glad, and thank you, Natasha, for that input earlier. Yeah, I forget that there are like more close-knit programs out there. All right.
Right. Well, thank you, Jessica and Josh, for this very like in-depth and open, like, and pretty honest review on both like the LOI process as well as like choosing how to rank different programs. We really appreciate you guys taking the time from your rotations and your busy work schedule to help us. As we had mentioned earlier, this is recorded. And so for those that want to avail of this recording, we will send that to you. Thank you very much. And for right now, we will take a very, very brief break and then resume at 9:30 sharp for our national committee meetings and updates. Again, thank you very much, Jessica and Josh. Thank you.
Thank you guys, and see y'all on match day celebration.